down on the bottom. No place to go but up. I was been in trouble nearly all my life.
I'm joined today by Colin James here on Primetime Local News. Colin is a familiar face, been around first in Saskatchewan, where you grew up in Regina, and now you get to live out in sunny BC. Thanks for joining us today, Colin.
All right, thank you.
Well, Colin, we're looking forward to seeing your performance here next month in Lloydminster. And this is coming on the heels of an album that's to be released next week called Open Road. Tell me about the album.
Well, Open Road is a third of a kind of a trilogy of records, starting with Blue Highways in 2016, I guess, 2017. And then Miles to Go is the one we did previously. All these records kind of bring me back to some of my favorite blues songs that I grew up with, and kind of reintroducing me to an audience south of the border in the blues world, where we've been kind of living a little more in lately. And so it's the third of that record. I recorded all three with the same co-producer named David Mazzaros. David's a young computer engineer, sound guy who also works in the music business and the management business, but he lives in London, England. He used to live here. We did the first two records here. And on this record, because of the pandemic, of course, we did it all remotely. He would take over my computer. I would sit here and watch his mouse crossfading and editing and helping me make sure I placed my microphones on the cone of the speakers the correct way. So I had to learn how to engineer my own record, which is a bit new for me. I've always engineered my studio a little bit, but mostly for songwriting, not necessarily records. So, yeah.
Now,
so that's it. That's this record. And it's, I suppose the only other thing I should say is you don't want to make the same record every time. So this record, we tried to, a couple songs are maybe a little more contemporary than the other records were.
The single that's out now, Colin, Down on the Bottom, had a chance to watch the video for that. Where was that shot? Because it looks kind of like the prairies.
Yeah, we picked it for that reason. It's actually right here in Vancouver. It's in the south, towards Ladner, where a lot of the gardens are and big greenhouses. And we found a perfect dirt road. It was a private dirt road, and the owner was nice enough to let us film. But we had no idea that train was coming by. Like, I knew there was trains on that track, but one of the happiest accidents of the whole day, and we did it all in 2 days, because we did some in morning light, and we did the other, when we did the transitions, we had that golden hour to work with. And the train just came by us during the last take, and I went, oh my God, don't break, like, you wanted to look. So I had to keep playing and not look, because we were getting a pretty good take out of it. So I enjoyed the process a lot.
So what's it like now that you're going to go back touring? There's been so much that musicians have had to stop during the pandemic, not live shows and just doing a lot online. Is it a much bigger deal to tour now? Is there a lot more things you have to consider?
Well, yeah. I mean, just because of restrictions and potential restrictions on this tour, we're pretty unencumbered in the fact that it's a double vaccine situation. In some couple shows, they're hot spots. We've had to, well, we don't know for sure yet, but I might have to do 2 shows in one night, which is pretty taxing when you haven't worked for a while, to do 4 shows in a row in 2 days. That might be tough, but I'm happy to be back out there. I've got a new member from, like I say, he's a Canadian, but he's been living in Austin for 5 years. And he's coming up for this as well. And I'm looking forward to, we're having some rehearsal here and then hitting the road. I got Steve Mariner on harmonica, who's just absolutely fantastic. I'd have to venture to say Steve Mariner is one of the best harmonica players Canada, if not North America, has ever produced. I just love his playing. He's playing bass with me as well. And the other guy is Anders Drerup on the other guitar. And he was actually on The Voice last year or 2 years ago.
When people are coming out to these shows, Colin, do you still play some of the original classics that, from the late 80s, Voodoo Thing, 5 Long Years, Dream of Satin, that type of thing? Or have you gotten away from that and sticking more to the later stuff that you've produced?
20 records gives you a lot of room to move. And I do some of it. Like, you mentioned too that I may not do.
Right.
But Voodoo Thing I'll do occasionally. If it's better in a rock set, it's better in a full band setting.
Right.
I don't mind. I mean, it's okay. But I think there's songs that suit the format better than that song would. But I do, we do Just Came Back. We do 5 Long Years. We do Why July, So Keep On Loving Me, Baby. We do that. And then it's just trying to, introduce some of the new material. And the nicest thing about these acoustic shows, I always forget how much I love them because they got more space. They have more potential for moments. I love the full band thing, but it tends to be, it's a bit more of an onslaught. And we'll be doing that soon enough as well, because, we're going to do this smaller tour, get our feet wet again and get the hands working again. Nothing replicates playing live, and you could sit in woodshed in a room forever. It's not going to have the same adrenaline, the same things that you've done all your life. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that. And in the new year, we'll probably end up going from east to west on a Canadian tour, February or so. We haven't announced it yet. And then we're straight off to play with Buddy Guy on a string of shows through the States. And I'm super excited about that. We started in Beverly Hills the day after Vancouver. We're straight down and we're off for like another 3 weeks. So it's going to be a crazy amount of playing comparatively to the last 2 years.
Well, Colin, it sounds like you've got so much on the go, and we're so excited that you're coming to Lloydminster. It's just great to see talent like yours coming out to see us. So November 20th here in Lloydminster. And if anybody is looking to get the album when it's out next week, or even listen to the single, what's the best place to find all of that information on you?
ColinJames.com. It's there. And we have a YouTube channel as well, where we've done a series called On the Couch. Me and my wife during the pandemic, just to keep busy and keep playing, did a few, went over the different guitars and some of the gear, and we just stories about songs and stuff like that. But ColinJames.com, all the dates are on there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today, Colin, and we'll see you in Lloydminster in a few weeks.
Pleasure.